Welcome to class, students. Today, we'll be looking at a very important topic titled Hazard and Occupational Hazard. A hazard represents a potential source of harm or danger to health. Essentially, any element that could negatively impact well-being. In contrast, risk measures the probability of a hazard manifesting and the severity of its potential consequences. An occupational hazard encompasses any workplace factor or condition capable of causing injury, illness, or fatality. Importantly, occupational hazards themselves are not inherently harmful until circumstances allow their negative po ten tial to manifest. Purpose of identification of occupational hazard. Obtaining occupational hazard is purpose is to obtain information on occupational health stresses, collecting information on working conditions, collecting information on work processes and products, obtaining the threshold limit values for substances, collecting information on the effect of exposure on human, collecting data on exposure levels by conducting elementary measurements, determining where problem or po ten tial problem area exists. The importance of risk reduction. Systematic identification of all po ten tial hazard, comprehensive assessment of their po ten tial harm, implementation of appropriate control measures. So important is for systematic identification of dis po ten tial hazard that are very harmful to workers, then comprehensive assessment of dis po ten tial harm or hazard, then implementation of appropriate control measure, that is different way of mitigating the effect of dis hazard. So identification of health and safety problem includes documenting occupational health stressors, analyzing working environment, understanding work processes, establishing safety threshold, assessing human impact, measuring exposure levels, identifying problem areas. Purpose of identification of health and safety problem. Documenting occupational health stressors. Cataloging factors that could po ten tially compromise working well-being. Analyzing working environment, that is gathering comprehensive data about workplace condition and po ten tial risk factors. Understanding work processes, examining production method and output to identify po ten tial danger points, establishing safety threshold, determining acceptable exposure limit for various substances, assessing human impact, collecting information on how exposures affect human health and safety, measuring measuring exposure levels, conducting baseline measures to quantify current exposure condition, identifying problem areas, determining existing or po ten tial trouble spots requiring intervention. Importance of identification of occupational hazard. Occupational hazard identification serve as a critical filtering mechanism in workplace safety management. Not all workplace exposures represent genuine threat, as many fall below established occupational exposure limits. By systematically identifying which areas warrant concern. Safety potentials can strategically eliminate low-risk zones from intensive evaluation protocols, thereby streamlining the overall monitoring process. The identification phase establishes a crucial foundation for subsequent hazard evaluation by generating baseline data. The preliminary work creates efficiency across the entire safety management system, while repeated identification in previously assessed areas could be redundant and wasteful. A well-executed initial identification process delivers significant time and resource savings while enhancing protection of worker health and safety. So identification of health and safety problems include the following: effective identification of workplace health and safety concerns incorporate multiple complementary approaches: direct workplace observation and environmental assessment, thorough investigation of worker reported concerns and complaints, analysis of incident records including accidents and near misses, review of absenteeism patterns and employee health data, implementation of targeted surveys to gather worker perspective on safety issues, application of standardized inspection checklists for systematic workplace evaluation, integration of inspection findings from multiple stakeholders, management, labour representatives, regulatory agencies, review of all relevant documentation and information resources about the workplace. Classification of occupational hazard: we have the physical hazard, the mechanical hazard, the chemical hazard, the biological hazard, the ergonomic hazard, the psychosocial hazards. Physical hazards: environmental factors that can harm the body without direct contact. So examples are radiation, noise, extreme temperatures. Then the mechanical hazard: equipment, machinery and tools that may cause injury through impact, entanglement, crushing or cutting. Chemical hazard are substances that can cause acute or chronic health effects through inhalation, absorption or ingestion. While biological hazard are living organisms or their byproducts that can cause infection, allergic reaction or toxicity. Ergonomic hazard: workplace factors that impose biomechanical stress on the body, potentially leading to musculoskeletal disorders. Psychosocial hazard are aspects of work design, organization and management that can cause psychological or physical harm through stress mechanisms. So physical hazard represent environmental energy sources with the potential for uncontrolled transfer of energy to human tissues, resulting in acute injuries or chronic health deterioration. These hazards manifest through various energy forms: mechanical, thermal, electrical, acoustic and radiological, and can cause damage ranging from minor contusions to severe traumatic injuries, organ system dysfunction or long-term degenerative conditions. So examples of physical hazards are noise, radiation, extreme temperature, ergonomic hazard, vibration, falls, fire and explosion. Noise is a prolonged exposure to long noises which can cause hearing loss and other health issues. Radiation, both ionizing and non-ionizing radiation, can cause damage to tissue. Extreme temperature: exposure to very hot or cold temperature can lead to heart stroke, frostbite or hyperthermia. Ergonomic hazard: poorly designed work or task can put strain on the body, leading to musculoskeletal disorder. Vibration, prolonged exposure to vibration can cause carpal tunnel syndrome, for example. 4. Sleep trips and falls can cause serious injuries. Fire and explosion, this can cause burns, inhalation of toxic fumes and other serious injuries. Electrical hazard, exposure to electricity can cause burns, stroke and even death. Lifting and manual handling, improper technique can lead to back injuries and other musculoskeletal problems. Why are physical hazard important to consider? The exposure can the exposure burden to physical hazard displays significant geographic variation, affecting approximately 10 to 30% of workers in industrialized economies, while impacting up to 80% of the workforce in developing and transitional economies. This proportionate distribution reflects differences in regulatory frameworks, enforcement capabilities, technological infrastructure, and economic priorities across global regions. Physical hazard present both immediate acute risks and cumulative exposure concern, necessitating comprehensive preventive strategies from employers and vigilant oversight from regulatory authorities to safeguard workers' well-being throughout their occupational life cycle. Classification of physical hazard: we have the acoustic energy hazard, radiological energy hazard, thermal energy hazard, mechanical energy hazard, vibrational energy hazard, electrical energy hazard, and combustion hazards. Thank you for listening.